We are back here, home and home, a radio.com sports original. You need to check us out always on the radio.com app as well as radio.com website. Ross Tucker, Dave Briggs, now joined by my guy from the scent pen, as they say, Dustin Hockensmith from PennLive.com. Certainly check him out on Twitter at Dustin Hockensmith. And is that, Dustin, a picture of you? First of all, where are you that you're able to get that picture behind you right there? And did you really take a bite of both sandwiches at the same time?
I'm in Penn Studios here at Penn Live. We have that capability. It was very important to me that I got that photo in. Not for me. I just feel like anybody viewing your live stream just deserves to see that. I didn't take a bite out of each at that point in time. That was just for show. And I proceeded to devour both right after, though.
I love it.
So
Well, go ahead, Dave.
For those that don't know, there is a chicken sandwich war in this country unfolding on Twitter over the last couple of days because, look, the chicken sandwich has always been home to Chick-fil-A for most of us, but then Popeyes gets into the battle, unveiling their new chicken sandwich. Wendy's wants into this battle, but let's focus on those two. And you tasted them both. When I look at, and have not tried, the Popeyes chicken sandwich, two things jump out. A lot of skin, which is what Popeyes is famous for, that crispy, tasty skin, and mayonnaise. Did you try them, and who came out on top?
So if this is a war, then the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins are also at war. It's that kind of war. It is not a two-sided competition, and I went into this completely objective about it. I'm not a Chick-fil-A loyalist at all. I ate both sandwiches kind of one bite at a time on each and gave them both a fair shake. It was just my impression. And by the way, the mayonnaise, the abundance of it that you see in photos is absolutely real. So if you're anti-mayonnaise, like Chick-fil-A doesn't do that by default. Which I think a lot of people appreciate. Popeyes does it automatically. I'm a mayonnaise guy. I'm a pickle guy. I had no complaints with that. But if you don't like mayonnaise, make sure you say something first. Otherwise, you are not going to enjoy the sandwich.
So there's so many different layers to this. First of all, anybody that puts mayonnaise on a sandwich is disgusting. But even more to the point, Dustin, I don't blame you for that, okay? Number one, I blame your parents, okay? And then number two, even more importantly, any company that as a default puts mayonnaise on anything should go out of business and should be boycotted. Well, look, if Neanderthals want to put liquid fat on their food products, I'm okay with that. But don't do it as the default. Are you out of your mind? Why would you make that the default? So here you are. You're not even a Chick-fil-A loyalist. You're not even a huge Chick-fil-A guy. You like mayonnaise. And you're still saying the Chick-fil-A sandwich blows away the Popeye sandwich. Is that factual?
First, Ross, you need to settle down just a little bit. You got your camera shaking. I guess mayonnaise does this to you. It looks like you're sweating mayonnaise. You're getting so aggravated by this. I did one of these things on pizza before. It's frozen pizza. And I got an email from a guy who more or less said the same thing you just did. I didn't like the DiGiorno frozen pizza. And he told me that I had to have grown up on canned foods and Pop-Tarts if I didn't like DiGiorno pizza. So some people, I'm sure you experience this, are very worked up by things that might surprise you. You getting worked up by mayonnaise, it doesn't surprise me, but it's a little over the top, I think. Mayonnaise is delicious, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm going to call my parents and tell them they don't have to apologize to anybody for that. This is a you problem, Ross, not a me problem.
I don't know about that, Dustin. I don't know, Dustin. I share his hatred. It is a vile substance, mayonnaise. It should be banned from the earth. It's never been in my house.
Listen,
I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old who will never try mayonnaise because I'm not sure they know it exists. It's never been in my home, and it never will. My parents were just here They asked if they could get mayonnaise, and I said, no, I don't want it in my home. I don't want it in my fridge. If we were to take it off the Popeyes sandwich, what to you stands out? What's the signature quality of that sandwich?
My first impression, I'll walk down through my first impression was Popeyes put their sandwich in the exact same bag with their Popeyes branding as Chick-fil-A did. So that number one said, okay, if Popeyes isn't trying, like I gave them the benefit of the doubt. They're not trying to be Chick-fil-A. I just walked in with that assumption. Then I see this bag and I said, okay, they are trying to be Chick-fil-A. They're just it's a little bit lesser across the board. It's crispier. It has that Popeyes crunchier exterior, the way they did do fried chicken, which I really enjoy. But it looks bigger, but it's not heavier. What Chick-fil-A does with their chicken is they're able to kind of hammer that down the same way you do with like chicken Parmesan, and it's a very dense texture, which I really like. Popeyes isn't quite like that. They do a brioche bun, which is a really poor excuse for brioche. I don't think any fast food chain should ever be trying to go down that road because you're never going to do it well and charge less than $4 for a sandwich. The Popeyes pickles were a little bit bigger, so Ross, that's another turn off. I guess Ross eats nothing on his sandwich. It's just eat a piece of chicken, Ross. Why get a sandwich? If there's no condiment and there's no garnish at all, why are you even eating a sandwich?
Oh, Dustin, you are so naive. Number one, it's the buttered bread. Number two, I could go barbecue sauce. I could go honey mustard.
Oh, so you want to ruin it? I got it.
Asian. I could go Chick-fil-A sauce. There are a million delicious sauces, which, by the way, is yet another way in which Chick-fil-A dominates Popeyes. What are Popeyes sauces? What do they even got? By the way, they got nothing. The only thing I know about Popeyes, or remember about Popeyes, is that Steve Spurrier went berserk when Bruce Smith and the veterans with the Redskins would make the rookies pick them up Popeyes for the flight to the away game. For Steve Spurrier, for him to watch our best players all eating Popeyes on the plane the day before the game, he thought that was like the worst thing he had ever seen in his life. He's like, hey guys, I just got one thing. Can we not eat Popeyes the day before the game? I don't care about Monday, Tuesday. Can we not eat Popeyes the day before the game? That's what he said. What you're telling me basically, Dustin, is that our producer Steve Jung and his friends are losers and incorrect. I gotta be honest with you, Dustin. I'm not shocked by that. That does not surprise me. Okay?
Yeah.
The fact that you said Steve's and his friends are losers because they think Popeyes is better, that's not exactly a wake-up call for me by any stretch of the imagination. I do like the way you broke it down. Here's the question, though. I'm assuming you put no sauce on either for it to be a real taste test. So yeah, you had Popeye sandwich that actually had a condiment and an enhancer that you enjoy in foul mayonnaise, and the Chick-fil-A sandwich was plain, and you still like the Chick-fil-A sandwich more. Can you even imagine if you had put barbecue sauce on or honey mustard? I mean, you already called it the Patriots and the Dolphins. You know what it would have been? The Patriots and your high school, Susquehanna. Okay, that's what it would have been if you put barbecue sauce on that sandwich.
Listen, first of all, Susquehanna would compete. All right, they might be at a talent deficit, but the boys from Cove have a lot of heart. They would compete. They get beat 400-0, but they would try so hard, Ross. The second thing I would say is that I would take the words that you're putting in my mouth about Steve, who seems lovely, by the way. I would take those words over the Popeye sandwich.
Got it. All right. So I got to ask you, and I'm sure Briggs has stuff. I got to ask you, I know you've done other food feats like this. I was trying to tell Briggs earlier, did you have to eat everything at Wegmans or something?
I didn't have to, Ross. I got to. That's how I viewed it. It was, I went in, This was the very first one I did, Wegmans, which I think it's a regional chain, right? So I went in, got one of every item off the hot bar. They've got a pretty prestigious hot bar with a lot of stuff on it. It's about twice as expensive as any other local grocery store chain's hot bar. So really it was just going in and figuring out what is actually worth twice as much as what you can get someplace else. So it was $83 worth of stuff. And
Wow.
yeah, I ate all of it.
That has some serious indigestion. Last word on the chicken sandwich goes to our producer, Steve Jung, who said he preferred Popeyes, but said it took 25 minutes. I'm not waiting 5 minutes for a chicken sandwich. So after this disgusting buffet, how about some dessert that is Penn State football? Can we get into some football and move away from food for a second? Can you confirm that HBO is shooting a Hard Knock series on the Penn State program, and how entertaining should they be?
There's smoke still. Penn State confirmed that they were talking to HBO, but that's as far as they went. I guess Washington State, who is one of the other 3 programs to be mentioned, did confirm that report. Alabama and Arizona State are the other ones. Penn State kind of does its own thing, and they don't really give you any information until it's absolutely mandatory. So I think after the first episode airs, Penn State will confirm that they're going to be on.
How entertaining do you think Penn State would be, just being close to that program, following them, knowing James Franklin, and some of the coaches?
He is, I don't think he's going to be as big a character as, Mike Leach, obviously, or Herm Edwards. But he's going to have some appeal, and it's him and his staff all the way from top to bottom. There's a lot of energy with those guys, and I'm really curious just behind the scenes, in the locker room when when we don't get a chance to see typically what that energy looks like and how it translates and how the kids on the team respond to that. Because I think that's one of the things that James Franklin really has that few other coaches do. You can criticize him in any number of ways. You can call him a used car salesman, which other people do. And I'm surprised, by the way, the number of people around Big Ten country who just absolutely despise this guy. But he has an ability to connect with 18 to 22-year-olds that's very uncommon. And it seems very authentic. As much as what he says to the media is usually pretty contrived, I think he's pretty authentic and makes a real connection with those guys. And that's what I think would stand out if Penn State does do this thing.
I did want to ask you too, Dustin, we were talking earlier before you came on about sort of the transfer culture in college football. As someone that's covered college football for a while, Penn State had more than 10 guys go into the transfer portal, including most recently their quarterback, Tommy Stevens, who's now at Mississippi State. But I know you also are a big proponent, advocate for sort of players' rights and the athletes' rights. So do you like the transfer culture? Does it bother you? What are your thoughts? Because Dave and I were talking about that earlier.
It's going to shake the idea of amateurism even further to its core, to its foundation. I'm for player rights. The recruiting process, you want to think that every 17-year-old is going to handle it really well, is going to make a really well-founded decision, is going to have a really strong support system to make that decision, isn't going to cave to pressure or make an emotional choice. But the reality is that is a real threat to all these guys. So you have a lot of kids making a choice for the wrong reasons, and you can't really blame them for that when they're 17. Some people don't have a support system to really help guide them through a tricky, complicated process where all these coaches are trying to sell you. That's what it comes down to, trying to sell you. And sometimes the sales pitch is going to be better than the product itself. And I'm for, I don't like the chaos that is ensuing right now, but I'm for kids getting a second chance and getting that second chance for free. There's going to be abuse of the system in that respect. There's going to be abuse of the system no matter what you do. So give the athlete a fair shake. I'm actually in favor of what Jim Harbaugh proposes of giving a free, one-time, penalty-free transfer just for this exact situation. And it could be, you're not happy there. It could be that you're not thriving there. It could be that, you're blocked on the depth chart and you might never get out from under that. I'm for kids getting the opportunity to pursue whatever the next chance they want to be.
Dustin, excellent work. Really appreciate you coming on the show. You verified everything I needed to know about Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes. Encourage people to check him out on Twitter at Dustin Hockensmith. Does a terrific job for PennLive, and he does all their food breakdowns, which, you know what? I live in central Pennsylvania, and I am a better evaluator of food than you. So I might actually reach out to your boss and take that job, but enjoy it while you have it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. I look forward to the challenge of you trying to take this job from my cold, dead hands.
There he is, Dustin Hockensmith from PennLive, buddy of mine. That's pretty good there.